Hi, I'm Dr. Shandini Sankaran, and I'm the Undergraduate Director of Economics and also an Associate Clinical Professor of Economics at the Darla Moore School of Business. My interest in economics started with my background of being born and being raised in Malaysia. Malaysia experienced tremendous growth during this time period, and it was just amazing to see so many changes around me. This is what motivated me to go to grad school and continue my studies in the field of economics, particularly in the field of international and sustainable economic development. You might be asking at this point, what is economics? Economics is the study of how society manages its scarce resources and allocates them among competing uses. What's a resource, you might ask? Well, each country has certain finite resources, which economists generally divide into four different categories. The four categories of resources are land, physical capital, labor, and entrepreneurs. We sometimes call economic resources factors of production in order to emphasize their role in producing goods and services. These four resources are scarce. They are limited. There's only so much of these resources to go around. However, human wants are unlimited. So economics is largely the study of how these scarce resources are going to be allocated amongst these different uses. So these concepts are relevant on an individual level. They're also relevant on a larger scale, such as the government's budget. The government only has a fixed amount of money, and based on the money that they have to pick and choose how they're going to allocate the scarce resource amongst competing uses. Should we use it to fix the roads? Or should we use the funds that we have to beef up our military? Or perhaps we could use it to build new public parks and schools. So you see how economics is everywhere, it's all around you.
You really have to have a broad sense of every single different topic. So science, math, English, history, every single thing. And a lot of people are just either wired towards history or English or math and science. So it's really a unique combination to have to use all four of those different subjects in one.
You're learning about ideas and theories and models. You're not learning about how to use a tool necessarily. So it's a little bit more conceptual. Coming out of undergraduate, reflecting on it, I learned the difference between being an analytical person and being a technical person. A technical person might not necessarily know how to take something poorly defined and abstract and drill it down into something that is well defined, that you can put your finger on. And that's a skill set that I did get from economics.
As an economist, I look at both the big picture and the small picture. We call the big picture macroeconomics and the little picture microeconomics. Macroeconomics is the study of the overall economy as a whole. We're talking big numbers here. Trillions and trillions of dollars, such as the GDP or the gross domestic product of a country. It also helps us understand other important issues, such as the monetary system, the Federal Reserve. These are probably all terms that you have heard being thrown around on the news all the time. So learning some macroeconomics would help you understand issues such as the unemployment rate. If you're more interested in the smaller picture of the economy, then you would probably be a microeconomist. Microeconomists study how decisions are made by firms and individuals and in markets. So these skills are very useful for you to have, particularly if you're going to be working for a business. Because in microeconomics, you would learn about how firms determine prices and output and how their profits largely depend on the kind of markets that they're operating in. Whereas if you're more interested in issues such as the government's budget deficit, perhaps even bigger issues that I was interested in, such as growth of a country and economic development of a country, then you would want to study macroeconomics. The economics major at USC, though, offers you a study of both. You will start off by taking principles of microeconomics and principles of macroeconomics, which is required anyway for all majors in the business school. After those 2 classes, you will be taking intermediate microeconomic theory and intermediate macroeconomic theory. Another required class that you will be taking is econometrics. The upper level classes that you could take are classes such as money, income, and prices, international trade, environmental economics if you're interested in that, or the economics of education, monetary economics, sustainable economics, labor economics, and the list goes on and on and on and on.
I had fun with the electives. Those were my favorite classes. I took an international development economics class, and that was my favorite class that I've ever taken. We got to do a huge project, so I got to really focus on a topic that I was interested in. So I did my research project on how increasing women's education in developing countries really just like impacts the world. You get different perspectives about every single thing in life that you're learning, and it's a different way of thinking.
You need to be a big global conceptual thinker. If you don't understand the social concepts behind economic theory, you're not gonna know how to drill down quantitatively to try to answer a question. And you need to have those two in you need to be relatively strong in your conceptual analytical capacity, but also in your quantitative skills. So if you have those two, then explore econ more.
As an economist, you can specialize in quite a few different fields. You could be a labor economist who studies the labor market and unemployment. You could be an environmental economist who studies the difficult decisions that we have to make on a day-to-day basis between our environmental quality and production. You could be a development economist if you're interested in studying about the issues faced in developing countries such as poverty, inequality, growth rates, low growth rates in their GDP. You could be a public economist who studies the role of the government and analyzes the effects of tax cuts and budget deficits or budget surpluses. You could be a healthcare economist, or you could be an education economist. However, majority of our economic majors who graduate from USC end up working for a traditional business. 23.3% of those with an undergraduate degree in economics work for a traditional business, 18.4% for the government, 17.7% for financial businesses, and 13.1% of them go to graduate school. Many economists prepare reports, tables, and charts that present research results. They also interpret and forecast market trends. Some advise businesses, governments, and individuals on economic topics. And as mentioned before, economists are hired in a variety of fields. In general, economics is a very versatile major. You can do a lot with economics, but there are certain important qualities that you need to be a good economist. You need analytical skills, critical thinking skills. You have to be detail-oriented. You need some pretty good math skills. Just remember that economics is not just all about math. It's not just all about solving mathematical equations. What we're trying to do here is we are trying to think analytically, but we're trying to understand how the real world works. And we're trying to find answers for these important choices that we have to make in the real world. If you have these skills that are necessary to be a good economist, come be one, because the world needs lots of good economists.